So here we're going to go ahead and talk about functions. Now, all a function is a relationship between an input and an output. So let's go ahead and consider an input and an output and kind of talk about the characteristics of said input and output. So a common input is time. And let's go ahead and talk about our output as maybe my height. So we're going to talk about my height as a function of time. When I was born, I had some sort of height, and then as I grew older, that height kind of gradually rose until I got to a certain age and it plateaued and hopefully won't go down. Now, I'm going to write out just kind of a dummy function here. And let's say that my height increased by 3 inches every year, and that I started out with a height of, let's say, like 12 inches. Okay, now clearly there's some issues with this function. First off, my height, or this is a linear function, and we'll learn more about that later. And linear functions will go up to infinity, or if they're kind of tilted this way, they'll go down to negative infinity, and they'll never kind of stop going up or down. And clearly my height, I'm not going to grow and just to an infinite height, so that clearly doesn't entirely make sense. But what I wanted to illustrate with this is the way a function works is you basically just have an input and then some rule that manipulates that input to give us an output. So for example, after 1 year, I can substitute in 1 for t. You see here I replaced t with 1 in both cases. And we're going to wind up with a height of 15 inches. And I could do that for any input that makes sense. And we'll talk more about what I mean by that in a sec, but let me do a couple examples here just to illustrate my point. So I could find my height when I'm 12 years old, or I could find my height when I'm 50 years old. Again, this is kind of what I was talking about. 162 inches is well over 10 feet tall. Clearly that doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm just doing this to kind of illustrate how a function works. Now, can you think of any inputs or t values here that would not work? Well, I'm hoping that one of the things that you noticed is that t cannot be less than 0. Okay, that would be like going back in time. Before I was born, I didn't have a height. So you'll notice that there is no part of the graph that it's over here where t is less than 0 or where time is negative. Okay, and that is what is called the domain. So in this case, the domain is actually not the things that t can't be, it's the things that t has to be. So t has to be greater than or equal to 0. Now, by the same token, height has to be greater than or equal to 0. And that is what's called the range. So the set of allowed outputs is the range. And you can see here, the part that is not part of the range is a negative height. Clearly, I cannot be less than 0 inches tall. So this is just kind of a general overview of functions. They describe a relationship between an input and an output.